have a nice cold Sauvignon.
Oh, right, okay.
From downstairs.
But the show is obviously picking you up.
Yeah.
Of course, the show is excellent.
Very good.
Okay, nice recovery. So, here we go with tonight's tale, which comes from Cowboy Clint. Thank you, Cowboy Clint, for today's tale. Father Simon, Sister Susie, and Brother Matt from the Elite Chapter of Forgiveness. I wish to be forgiven for an incident that took place around 14 years ago. At the time, I had a moderately successful wedding video business.
Oh, here we go.
A lot of my bookings were on the back of recommendations, and I was proud to say I was receiving some very positive feedback from my customers. I was booked to film the wedding of a couple, we'll call Angela and Brad. They had picked the most amazing venue in the town to get married. The church looked very stately with its tall ceiling, its beautiful altar, credible windows, and much more. I made it a rule to attend the wedding rehearsal, to view the layout, and most importantly, to kindly ask the vicar if I could stand at the front of the church to get a clear view of the bride and groom exchanging rings. I arrived early to the rehearsal and saw the vicar waiting in the church entrance. Fortunately for you, Father Simon, he looked a lot like the vicar from Dad's Army.
Okay.
I decided to use this opportunity to ask him where I could film on the wedding day. His reply was, "You're to stand out of view. I suggest behind the pillar over there, in the corner."
Just shameless, really.
He pointed, if you close your eyes, you can actually be him. He pointed to a pillar inside the church in the very, very far corner. The vicar then continued to say, and frequently, he'd often had cowboy operators. He didn't like a cowboy camera operator because they disturbed the wedding services by constantly moving about when the vows were being exchanged. I knew that I shouldn't have said howdy, but I thought he had a good point, and I thanked him for allowing me to film as long as I stuck to the rules. The day the wedding arrived and I found my pillar and hid behind it, I began setting up the video equipment. I was so far away, I would need to place a radio mic on Brad. I placed the transmitter in his inside jacket pocket and the clip microphone on his lapel. Running back over to my camera, I was very pleased with the quality of sound coming through my headphones. Not a hum or a crackle. The ceremony began. Angela walked down the aisle looking radiant and joined Brad at the front. I'd wired up Brad because he had pockets and Ange didn't have any pockets. All was going well with my recording. It was only when the vicar began to greet everybody that it became clear something was very wrong. What came over the church speakers was a mechanical screeching noise. The vicar looked embarrassed and screeched out an apology. "My goodness," he said, "I sound like a Dalek. There must be something very wrong with my microphone," he said. He unclipped it and shouted over to the verger for another microphone. Fortunately for you, Father Simon, the verger is just like the verger in Dad's Army.
Dad's Army again.
I'll tell his reverence. The verger didn't hesitate and came running over with a handheld microphone. Imagine that. A radio handheld microphone. Now, the vicar began speaking, and there were even more mechanical screeching noises over the speakers, just as bad as the other microphone, but the tone just slightly different. I thought he sounded as though he was another Dalek. It was then that I noticed that the screeching sound was worse when he went closer to Brad. I realized that my radio transmitter was on the same frequency, causing the interference with the church radio microphones. I was responsible for this terrible noise over the speakers that was ruining the wedding as far as the congregation were concerned. So I checked my headphones. My sound was still perfect. Therefore, I had a dilemma. Do I switch off my radio receiver to stop the interference? But that would risk not having any sound on the wedding video, and my reputation would be in ruins. I thought, what to do? Well, I'm ashamed to say, I decided to leave the receiver switched on and the congregation could go hang. We had, because the video is obviously far more important.
Yeah.
We had just got to the vows, screeching and embarrassed apologies from the vicar notwithstanding, when help was again at hand. Again, it was the verger who came running from the back of the church for a second time and handed the vicar another. I've got a microphone.
Another one?
Yes.
Wow.
But this one, it had a cable attached. The verger was a rather large man, and I felt so guilty as he clearly looked out of breath. In fact, I thought it might be the end of him, but he did survive. Anyway, the microphone worked and there was no more interference. But, Father Simon, I don't ask forgiveness from the vicar, as I think he secretly enjoyed entertaining the wedding guests with his Dalek impressions. Nor do I ask forgiveness from Angela and Brad, who I recall found the incident rather amusing once it had been explained. No, I ask forgiveness from the embarrassed mother and all the irate guests sat on the third pew from the front, who, when the vicar said he sounded like a Dalek, prompted two small boys to run in the aisle, pretending to shoot each other with their fingers, shouting at the top of their voices, "Exterminate!" which, on balance, is not conducive to a spiritual experience. I don't know if you've actually tried that. Have you?
No. Oh, wow, that was smooth.
Well, I was just trying to get into the groove of the church mixing disc.
Clearly. Wow.
Anyway, so we've got kids shouting "exterminate." He's got the vicar sounding like a Dalek, and it's Cowboy Clint's fault, Sister Susie from the pub.
Well, Cowboy Clint, can you have just switched the frequency of your transmitter? Wouldn't that have fixed it? I don't know. That's what I feel like should have happened. But also, no one watches the wedding video. It's just like
It's true.
not as important as the actual day. And that sounds like it would have been incredibly frustrating to listen to. So I can't forgive you because I couldn't have sat through that wedding.
I said at the time I had a moderately successful wedding video business, so I suspect, Susie,
It doesn't anymore.
No.
It doesn't anymore. Brother from another guy.
Yes, Susie's quite right to say nobody ever watches wedding video. Who mics up the groom? I mean, what's the point of that? If you're not going to be miking up the bride as well, it makes no sense. You're going to hear one side of the vows.
She didn't have any pockets.
I know she didn't have pockets, but you can fit it somewhere. Use your imagination. This church, where's it getting all these microphones? It's got more microphones than Live Aid. They're all over there. I've got another one. Virgin's got another one. I've got one with a mic and I've got one with a cable. So for that reason, just because of all the Dad's Army references, I'm going to forgive.